Stay tuned to meet Advocate Capital client Joshua White of Altair Law. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Josh White of Altair Law. Josh, you were telling me last week that you guys had a mass shooting case that you've been working on for quite a while. Can you tell us a little bit about how Advocate Capital has assisted you with that case?
I'd be happy to talk about that with you, Paul. At first, I just want to thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you today and talk about these issues. Years ago, we litigated a case involving a mass shooting that occurred at a UPS facility in San Francisco. The case required years of litigation, hundreds of depositions, thousands of pages of records exchanged, just the most intensive pre-trial work that either I or any of my partners had ever conducted or engaged in for litigating a case. And it was a righteous case because it involved a mass shooting, and we represented both the families of the victims who died that day and then dozens of other workers who were at the facility and tragically witnessed those shootings and had claims of their own. Not only was it a big case, but it was pivotal in our firm's practice because of the help that Advocate Capital provided us for that case. I'll just say our relationship with Advocate Capital is elemental to our strategic growth and our ability to litigate cases because of the availability of capital and case expenses that has allowed us to handle multiple large personal injury cases like the mass shooting case simultaneously while increasing our profitability. And so in that case in particular, Advocate Capital provided us with such a partner to help us through the aspects of the case that required case funding that they were so elemental to the outcome of that case. And I can't thank them more.
Well, thank you, Josh. And we're thrilled to be a small part of the success that you and all of our clients have had for their clients. Our mission statement is to help an ever-increasing number of plaintiff attorneys get even better results for their clients. So you're preaching to the choir a little bit there. But, one concern that some of our prospective law firm clients have is that the case expense funding will negatively impact the client. What has your experience been?
Our experience has been the exact opposite of that. Early on, one of the things that we were able to do was we were able to incorporate the agreement to use the case funding through Advocate Capital into our retainer agreements. And so up front, when a client hires us, we have this discussion with them. And our experience has been that it hasn't been a problem at all. In fact, it's been a positive for our practice for all of the reasons we've been discussing.
That's great. And that's another, I don't want to say pushback, but it's another concern that we hear from prospective clients is the passing through the borrowing costs to the clients, to their clients. Have you had any issues with that?
We haven't. In fact, I think the way that we describe it to our clients is it enables us, from a practice perspective, to be able to help them more. And once we talk them through the process of ultimately what the cost is, they understand that because of the availability of funds, it allows us to help not only them, but others as well, and have a more robust practice that ultimately in the end benefits them. And so I think from that perspective, they appreciate it, and I've never had any pushback from any clients because of it.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned two things there that really ring true. The first is have it needs to be in your attorney-client agreement, of course, but then have the discussion on the front end with them, but couch it in such a way that, this is going to be, we're asking you to cover this cost, but what this access to capital does for us is it enable us to go get the best specialty witnesses, the best accident scene reenactors, all the things that we need to be as successful as we can be. This investment that we're both going to make is going to pay off. And then you put the proof in the pudding, of course. I guess finally, another, I call this the inertia pushback, is that so many plaintiff law firms have historically funded all their case expenses out of their own pocket. And fortunately, a lot of those plaintiff attorneys have done extremely well, so they have the capital to do so. So we hear a lot of times that they don't want to use the case expense funding product because they don't, quote unquote, need the money. What would you say to those kind of attorneys?
I think I can speak from personal experience on this issue in particular. When we founded the firm, we started on the model of funding our own case expenses out of our own, account, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very successful doing that. However, we got to a point where we realized that in order to take on cases of the type of significance that we wanted to, for example, the mass shooting case that,
Mm-hmm.
from our perspective, had a very important societal impact because we were representing people who were the victims of a mass shooting in a workplace. And to my knowledge, the company had never been sued before. And so, in order to take on cases like that and others, we realized that we needed to shift our practice a bit so that we could have access to lines of case funding that would enable us to do that. And I think the philosophy here really fits hand in glove with both our practice philosophy and, from what I understand, of course, Advocate's mission statement.
Right.
We think that in order to litigate cases to the best of our ability, it's vital to invest in your cases, both in terms of a time investment and a monetary investment, because without either of those, you're not going to optimize the result. And so every case that we take on, our whole goal is to invest the time and energy necessary to obtain the best result for the client possible. And because of our relationship with Advocate Capital, we're able to do that by accessing the case cost funding that we can.
Well, that's great. And we're thrilled to have you on board. Like I said, we're thrilled to be a small part of yours and hundreds of other plaintiff law firms across the country's success. Josh, thank you for joining us. If folks who are watching would like to learn more about Altair Law or get in touch with you, how best can they reach you?
I would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about our firm to visit us online at www.altairlaw.com. And I just want to say, Paul, thank you for having me today. It's been a real pleasure to talk with you.
Same here, Josh. Thank you.